Welcome to the Vibrant Couple. I have invited again, and for the 16th time, my friend Monique Stephens to talk about relationships tools. Today is about forgiveness. But why is forgiveness an important tool, Monique?
Forgiveness is important because it's something you can develop like a muscle, so you practice it and it helps us reduce our suffering because pain's inevitable and we're going to experience hurt and frustration. But when we practice forgiveness like a muscle, it helps us when the big game of a big important event comes about and we can reduce our suffering.
Wonderful. So, we are going to talk about more of the expected benefits. We are going to talk about the steps of the tool. We will do our usual role plays. And if you've watched our videos before, the number of role plays varies. And we sometimes don't even know how many role plays because often we find juiciness in the doing of the role plays and we do more. And then we'll have our usual Q&A to close our sessions. Monique, I hear a lot of people talk about forgiveness these days. What do you see as the expected benefits?
Yeah, well, ironically, most of us would rather be right than be happy, at least subconsciously. And we'd rather blame and criticize and talk about resentment and gossip, basically. So, the idea of forgiveness is to create a culture of inquiry where we focus as a relationship superpower on understanding. We let go of the past so we can make a better future and we expand our compassion for ourselves and each other. We stop re injuring ourselves with painful memories, and we foster closeness with those we love, creating the we in our relationship. So, the steps to forgiveness are your partner screws up, or you think they did, and you observe your feelings, however many and whatever they are. Identify the thoughts and stories that fuel those feelings and realize you don't want to keep hurting yourself with those memories. So then, forgive. This can be an internal experience, imagining, I forgive you so I can be free. Or if you want your partner to hear your forgiveness, then request a time to talk. And then notice how you feel afterwards. Many people describe the world as just being more open and more vivid after they've done forgiveness work.
And now, our role plays. I want to make sure you know that Monique and I are just friends. We are not partners in real life. First role play, Valdo is going to express his hurt and Monique is going to become defensive. Monique, when you canceled our last summer vacation, I felt a lot of pain. Would you be willing to hear the pain that your decision to work created?
Um, I, you know how much work I had to do. I mean, what are you talking about?
Okay, so this is Valdo internally here. I'm intentionally stopping time. I'm in pain. It looks like Monique is defensive. I'm sensing that Monique is not going to change her narrative. And so I am internally choosing step 5A, which is to do the internal work. And I'm visualizing that I'm forgiving Monique for choosing her work compared to our relationship last summer. And I'm also forgiving her for being reactive right now. I know she's under a lot of stress. I know it doesn't explain, but I want to bring forgiveness in.
So in that first role play, I reacted defensively, which happens to many of us at some point. So if that's you, you can try the take two that we did before in our videos. And what I'm going to do next is model where I'm much more open. I've watched the intelligence series and I respond with more compassion and curiosity.
Monique, I've been really hurting since you canceled our vacation last summer. May I tell you how it affected me?
Yeah, I hear you say hurting. Tell me more about those feelings and the thoughts under them.
Well, you know that I struggle with self-doubts, and somehow I grew up with a strong belief that I'm not lovable. And when you do things that, cancel the refuge that our relationship is, that creates a lot of anger and shame.
Oh, sweetie, thank you for bringing this to my attention. So what I'm hearing is like when I canceled our vacation, you felt unlovable, and that makes so much sense to me. I really just wasn't managing my time well, and I was actually leaning on how much I love you and how lovable you are that I could make it up to you somehow. So thanks for letting me know, and I'll make sure to honor our vacations more in the future, manage my time better, and also to communicate more what it isn't about, which is how much I love you. That's never in question.
Wonderful. So, because the tool we are practicing right now is forgiveness, and so first I forgive you because I know how important your work is for you. And second, I forgive myself for waiting so long to have this healing conversation between you and I.
Let's celebrate your courage and commitment to our relationship. Viewers, I trust you notice a big difference between role plays 1 and 2. And note for role play 3, this is an ongoing issue where I, as Valdo's role playing wife, have been suspicious of him having an affair. We've investigated, it's unfounded, and we're ready to wade into some forgiveness work. Valdo, I really want to forgive you. It's going to take some work, but I keep scaring myself that you're having an affair. And so I'm working on the forgiveness of the affair I keep imagining.
Monique, this is an ongoing struggle for me because there is nothing even in my field about having affairs. So when I feel accused, it really pisses me off. And right now, I'm going to intentionally choose emotional intelligence. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm making that choice. So curiosity is the word that comes here. I know my feelings. There is no need to be curious about them, but I can be curious about you. Okay. So um, Monique, I understand that there are things in my behavior that lead you to think that I may be having affairs. There are likely also things that I'm not doing that also lead you to somehow become suspicious about me having affairs. Would you be willing, as you and I keep engaging in our life together, to point these out to me in real time or as close as you can in real time? Because that will really help me better understand what is going on, that I'm doing or not doing that arouse your fears and suspicions.
Yeah, thank you for your understanding. What I'm noticing is this just this relationship ghosts, right? This is just the past choices of partners I've made, and you've been so patient and so loving, and I know that this is not about you. And I scare myself when you're working late, and then I text or call you and you don't answer the phone. And I know you've reassured me, you get into the zone, and you just want to finish and get home to me, and I believe you. But in that moment, my insecurities go wild. So, is there a way you could like prop your phone up next to your monitor while I'm reassuring myself and while you're reassuring me?
Okay, so I'm feeling the moment here, and I am noticing that yes, I can. And basically, the two most important things in my life are you and my work. And the importance changes with my focus. When I'm at work, somehow it's not because you become less important, but I'm focusing on work. And you become less important just because of my focus. And then when I'm with you, then I put my work second, and you know all the improvements I've made on that over the years. So what if I were to find a way to, as you are suggesting, to keep focusing on my work in the being in the zone, but somehow seeing a message of you and then responding quickly so that I'm not distracting from my being in the zone. Otherwise, when I somehow believe you become suspicious, it really throws me in a loop, and my work takes a lot longer because I'm somehow distracted by all those thoughts and need to defend myself.
Yeah, I'm realizing as we're talking, I want to forgive myself. I want to be more compassionate to the wounds that I brought into this relationship. I I'm noticing like, wow, I can just kind of create the same story over and over and over again if I don't heal these. And I appreciate your willingness to kind of extend and help me with my healing, just like maybe even just a quick text. Um, as I get more secure and realize that I am lovable, and yeah, so I forgive myself for all my fear and how I bring that fear into our relationship and create this disruption. And I forgive you for the affair that I, honest to God, know you haven't had. But it just helps me to say it out loud. Yeah, so thank you.
And so, step number 6, do you feel lighter?
I actually do. I'm starting to lovingly laugh at myself.
It is very interesting because I feel lighter too, and I have the sense that next message I receive from you when I'm working late will feel a lot easier for me to read and respond quickly and go back to my work zone.
Yeah, thanks for holding a space for me.
Yeah.
So, in Valdo and I's last role play, in this imagined scenario, I go off and I reflect as I'm doing my own self forgiveness work, and I realize what I need to do for this next role play. So, in this next role play, Valdo's still role playing my current partner, and I'm disclosing what I learned about my last partnership. So, Valdo, I've been doing my self forgiveness work about, making up you having this affair, and I realized I'd never forgiven my last boyfriend for the times he cheated on me. And because I was holding on to it, those memories were poisoning my current relationship with you. And so, although I will never condone his behavior, because that's not part of forgiveness, I realize I want to let that memory go so I can make space for a better future for us. So, I actually forgive my ex boyfriend for being who he was and who I chose, and realizing that's old. The past is a past, and I've let him go. So I just wanted to share that insight with you as I was doing my forgiveness work.
Monique, I so appreciate because it brings to me something that I have noticed again and again and again with you and with my previous partners, that um, I really want to change. And this is something that is so pervasive among men that I didn't even see it. So, Monique, I want to. So, first, your forgiveness is accepted. The forgiveness I want to bring next is my forgiveness to myself for becoming self defensive from even a whiff of accusation by a woman. I know from talking with all my friends that men are not suited at all to any attack, accusation, whatever it is, even if it is not, but whatever we perceive as by our women. So I want to forgive myself for being reactive all these years because I also feel I fueled our system. And I know I have nothing to forgive myself about affairs because that has not even been in our, in my mind stream. But I feel that my deciding that in the future, I want to be more curious about what you bring without defensiveness is the way I want to lead our relationship.
It almost sounds like you could invite yourself to forgive your ex-girlfriends as well for their things that piled up
No,
to
that
this
was
group
their
place.
fault. Did you say my ex girlfriends and my mother?
I guess as we keep doing our forgiveness work, we're finding a long list of people to forgive.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad we're doing it together.
Me too. And now our Q&A. First question is, can I use these tools to forgive myself?
Yes, absolutely. Some of us feel guilt. I could have done better. Some of us feel shame. Either can point us to forgiveness work, and shame is a really important tool to look at the beliefs underneath that, like you might feel that you're bad or that you have low self worth, you are too much or not good enough. And it's really important that we catch that spiral because we feel shame like we need to do penance for our sins. But we believe that you're doing the best you can, and perhaps counterintuitively, by embracing that belief, you can do better.
I want to add to that, Monique, because for some people, toxic shame is so prevalent that when they feel shame, it becomes like a black hole that siphons them down with no hope. And so I believe it may be good for some, if that's what you feel, that, when you start feeling shame, basically you lost it, that you forgive yourself for that pattern.
Yeah, if you're in a toxic spiral of shame, really you probably want professional help. And so, counselors, coaches, or therapists that do identity work, especially if they are trauma informed, they can be fantastic, as can 12-step programs. This viewer asks, I think my partner and I just punish and we don't forgive. Is that possible?
Oh, that's such a good question. So, punishment is a sign of ill will, a sign that you want to be right versus being curious. So, definitely punishing each other is a sign that you are not forgiving, and is also a sign that your relationship is not healthy. And so, very strangely, here, forgiveness can be a really good first step towards transforming it because by yourself, you can forgive yourself for having been signed up into and then fueled that ill will that's punishing each other. And if you realize that your only job in your relationship is to be narcissistic supply, it may be time to get out. I read somewhere about forgiving daily. What does it mean?
Oh, that's such a great practice. It actually changed my life. So, if you practice forgiving yourself for like standing in the wrong line or forgetting to pay a bill on time, or you practice forgiving others for taking your parking spot or cutting you off in traffic, it's like developing a muscle. You start to create this worldview, this way of being inside you, that when the bigger things happen, family pain or crimes or that kind of thing, you're ready to actually walk through forgiveness in a much more powerful and sustainable way.
So basically, start with the small stuff and do it often.
Yeah, just like a lot of great tools.
Monique, next question is paramount. What if what they did is unforgivable?
Another life changing lesson for me. I was a victim of crimes, and what I realized is that forgiving the person, in this case, I'll say the criminal or perpetrator, wasn't about condoning them. It was about evicting them from my mind so that I wasn't re injuring myself with that crime over and over again for years. And I found this by reading a book that I highly recommend, The Book of Forgiving by Desmond and Mofo Tutu. It really is a life changing, future expanding action to learn about forgiving the unforgivable to set yourself free. This viewer asks, how do I identify the thoughts underneath my upset feelings?
Oh, that is a good question. And so, first, very strangely, the key is to learn to identify and be with our feelings because our stories are so driving us that we don't realize. So let me stay with the story for a second, although I recommended that you stay with the feelings. The stories often show up as recurrent, like I am playing tribunal with my ex-wife, with this, with that person, because they did this to me. And so when we notice that story, then we can say, okay, but what is the feeling below? What is the feeling driving that story? And when we are able to be with that feeling, then we can say, okay, so I'm really upset and I'm somewhat sad and I'm disgusted. What is the story that I'm maintaining? Oh, yes, my sister did something that was unthinkable and I'm still upset with her 20 years later. But why am I keeping that story alive? That story has no value. It happened 20 years ago. And that tribunal comes in my mind, daily. Sometimes I forget a week, but daily it comes up. And I really want to forgive her. So either looking at the story, learning to notice recurring stories, or learning to feel our feelings and be
Yeah,
with them.
almost a and, I think, right? So feeling the feelings, realizing, oh, I'm still upset with my sister for something years ago, finding the thought, she should have not done that or should have known better, finding the feelings of anger and sadness and fear, what if she does it again? Going down another layer is what you described, right? And realizing, oh, she didn't know better, right? That's simply what she did. I want to forgive her so that I don't keep re injuring myself with that thing. Sounds like a really powerful investigation you're describing there.
It is. And of course, that story with my sister is fictitious. I'm just making it up right now. But in what you just said, you used the word fear. And I realized that in the not so fictitious stories that are similar in my life with my sister, that what is underlying the anger and the sadness and the disgust is fear.
I've often found that in my forgiveness work. So, Waldo, what if I'm not ready to forgive?
The smartest in me is going to say we are never ready to forgive.
How about I take a stab at it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I did my forgiveness work, what I realized is when I wasn't ready to forgive, or if I thought I had forgiven, but I still found the memory popping back up, I hadn't found each of the emotions that were involved. So I was angry that it happened. I was sad that it happened and what that meant about the relationship. I was afraid it could happen again, either from somebody else or that person. By seeing more feelings, I could find more thoughts and the beliefs under them, the stories, and then by going through it, I was able to actually fully get ready to forgive or complete the forgiveness. And the way to do that is either with a really good friend who can listen well and ask questions like, then what happened? Or what did you make that mean? Or a therapist or coach. Just being fully heard and understood is a huge benefit to forgiveness work.
I want to appreciate the healers and therapists and friends in my life who have done their inner work and were willing to be there for me. when I was doing my own forgiveness work, which, even though I was smart ass, I've never been ready to forgive. There was always a decision to basically counteract that inner tendency in me. And I want to appreciate how rare that is.
Yeah, I sure appreciate the folks that helped me with mine too.
I am better at forgiving others than myself. Why?
Yeah, so no matter whether you're better at forgiving yourself or others, others or yourself, we get caught in this thing of really high standards. And we forget that everybody at some point is unsure or under resourced. And so the invitation here would be to adopt the radically life changing belief that people are doing the best they can at the time they're in, with the choices they see and the awareness they have. Even you, even that other person. So if you can really see people as doing the best they can, that will be life changing.
Monique, thank you for reinforcing it because even though I know you are responding to our Q&A, this is applying to me as well.
Yeah, I find revisiting this belief has been really, really helpful for me too.
If this video inspired you to create more forgiveness in your life and liberate more love, please hit the like button below and subscribe so you can be notified when I publish new juicy content. And please share with all you believe would benefit, even if that might be a little uncomfortable. I look forward to seeing you very soon.